Hey everyone, it's Andrew from Five Little Ducks Resale. It's Saturday afternoon. I've got my big studio lights illuminating that table of stuff, which means that we've been to some sales today. So stick around and I'll show you what we picked up. Hey guys, welcome back into the channel. If you're new here, this channel is all about reselling. It's where we go to thrift stores and estate sales and garage sales, and we pick up items for cheap and then flip them online on sites like eBay. As I referenced in the intro, today is Saturday, so we did go to some garage sales. So let's check out what we found. All right, here's everything from today's haul. We ended up going to a number of different types of sales today. Ironically, none of the things that we got came from garage sales. The stuff on the left over here came from a church rummage sale, and then the rest actually came from estate sales. So you just never know what you're gonna find out there. So let's jump in and we'll check out this stuff from the church rummage sale. We got these books here, some Mad Libs and some Rick Riordan books. By themselves, they don't do well, but once you get a bunch of them together, you can sell them in a lot, and they typically do better for you that way. There were a number of Christmas ornaments that they had there. I only recognized this one because we had purchased one just like this before, and it tends to do fairly well. But this was the only ornament that we picked up. There was a bunch there, but none scanned well with the eBay app. Probably the best haul of that sale were these figurines here. These are the Growing Up Girls, or Growing Up Birthday Girls, made by Enesco in the early 80s. These were fairly collectible back in the day, and we've had some previously that have done fairly well, but the idea obviously is that you would buy, one for each age that your child is at, and then they have a collection by the time that they are grown up. This is not a full set. There are quite a number of duplicates, and I think it only goes up to 12 here. They are, of course, super fragile, which is always a challenge to ship, but these, I haven't looked them up recently. They used to ship, or they used to sell very well, but we'll just see how they do. I like picking up things that we used to buy, back in the day, hoping that they still have some value. But when we saw these, I think they were priced around 50 cents each. We really couldn't pass those up, especially at that price. So we'll see. All right, this next estate sale that we went to, we got all these books. We got about 45 hardcover books. And super cool, shout out to my wife. She found these two Elf coloring books. Now what's cool about these is that they are, for all intents and purposes, new. There's no coloring in any of them. This activity book doesn't have anything going on, which is super cool. And then this one here is actually one of these ones that have the paint on the page. So you'd get the brush wet and paint those in, and of course none of them have been used at all, so that's fantastic. So super cool, throwback to the 80s, shout out Elf, fun stuff. Now these hardcover books, with the exception of this stack here, these are all from Guideposts. Now if you ever see Guidepost hardcover books, definitely encourage you to pick them up. Each stack is from a different series. We've done really well with Guideposts before. I'm not sure that we've had any of these individual series, but again, whenever we see those, they have typically done well in the past, and so we give it a go. And for $1 a book, it's higher than what I'd like to pay, but given the amount of books that we have here, I think we'll actually do pretty well. These here are Jeanette Oak, which is an author that we pick up fairly regularly. And again, most books that we get aren't one-offs. We don't sell books individually unless it really calls for it. But we typically save up, between 5 and 10 from the same author and then sell them as a lot. So moving on here, we have this cool vintage GE radio. I did plug it in at the sale and it seemed to work just fine. And kind of a tip for any resellers out there looking to get into electronics, make sure that the antenna pulls out all the way. That's one of the first things that does in fact break on these things, so definitely check that. Also, if it does have a battery compartment, you probably want to check to make sure that there aren't any batteries that have corroded inside. And of course, I didn't do that, and lo and behold, there is no corrosion, so that is a plus sign. So paid $5.50 for that. Then the rest of the stuff here, look at that, more punchies, more craft sale items. So I don't know what it is about people selling off their scrapbook stuff, but I'll definitely take it whenever I can find it. The Mary Kay here, the shoes and these punchies we paid up for a little bit, I think, ended up paying $78 for everything. So the way that I justified that was, you know, the shoes were $5, this thing was $3, but I can probably sell these bigger punchies for at least $10 a piece, and that should give me my money back. So that's pretty cool. And as I was doing research for the sale, it actually got better. So before I jump into the punchies, we'll do this Mary Kay stuff. These are just some face masks that are new in the box. There's 4 of them in here. I think I saw sold comps of about $35 to $40 for those, and I can put up that if I can get a screenshot of that. These Keen sandals are, we've sold Keen shoes in the past, and they do fairly well. But I didn't even notice this here at the sale. But when I flipped it over, there's that thing there, and these are actually cycling sandals. So you would get a clip that fits into your pedal, and you can attach it there, which is actually kind of cool. And then comps for these actually were higher than what I expected, anywhere between $40 to $60 depending on condition and whether or not they have the clip. So good find there. And again, we do have all these metal punchies. They range in size from the bigger ones, the flowers, the snowflakes and whatnot. Some of these other shapes here, another butterfly. I think these are edge trimmers or edge decorators for your page, and then some little tiny ones here which are cool. We actually started selling off a lot of the stuff that we had already picked up from the last craft garage sale that we went to. So when I saw these, it was almost like a no-brainer. Even though, again, we had to pay up a little bit for them, I think that we'll definitely make our money back. So again, we paid about $150 for everything that you see here. We're definitely going to make our money back. It'll probably take some time, but once we get everything listed, we'll just wait for the sales to roll in. All right, now it's time to take a look at some things that have sold out of the eBay store over the last couple of days. First item up is this Rashert hand-painted mallard duck ceramic coffee mug. It sold for $7.99 plus shipping. Next up was this cool new old stock Fisher-Price Time Jammers pink watch with box and instructions. It sold for $24.59 plus shipping. Up next was the first of the Cabbage Patch Kids porcelain figurines. This one sold for $8.99 plus shipping. There was an interesting story that went along with this sale. The buyer had reached out after purchasing the item and let me know that she was working on her master's thesis, the topic of which was 80s hand-painted porcelain figures. Evidently, she wasn't only an avid collector, but she was also doing a paper on it, which I thought was kind of cool. I let her know that I'd be happy to check it out when she was done, so whether or not I get a copy of it, that remains to be seen. But it does sound interesting. The next item was this new in-box puzzle. It was of the English countryside from Cumbria, England. Sold for $14.99 plus shipping. Puzzles are hit or miss for us. However, we always do pick up the new in-box puzzles. They tend to do well, especially in Q4 when people are looking for Christmas gifts. But this was a good sale nonetheless. This next item only hung out in the store for about a day before it sold. It was the J. Crew women's size medium black cashmere cropped sweater. Sold for $29.99 plus shipping. Then we had this Disney Olaf cookie pan. It was brand new and sold for $12.99 plus shipping. All right, guys, this next item is the highlight of the entire what sold. Another anime DVD. This one sold for an astounding $99.99 plus shipping. When I was doing comps on this particular one, I was shocked to see what the value was of this. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be a fast seller or not, and it obviously hung out for a couple of weeks, but it did finally sell for full asking price. And this one DVD alone could have paid for the entire haul for that day, which is fantastic. Even though it was a DVD, I did end up listing it as having priority mail shipping because at that price, I wanted to take advantage of priority mail's built-in insurance just in case. Next, we had a pair of these Ukala by Emu boots heading out. These sold on best offer for $15 plus shipping. And these transformers continue to fly out the door. This was one of 3 identical sales from this time frame. One of these sold for $10, one sold for $9.99, and then one did sell for the full asking price at the time of $11.89, which was the 15% off. I can't really explain why all of a sudden that these things are selling faster. One possibility is that because this is a multi-quantity listing and people have been watching them for quite some time, it's possible that once they do start selling, that earlier watchers do get notifications that the stock is dwindling, and so it could spur them to come into the store and make that sale. So either way, these have been sitting in the store for quite some time, but they're now finally starting to sell rapidly. Next up is a really old item from the store. This was a Hot Wheels from 2008, Team Rat Rods, sold for $6.74 free ship. Obviously didn't make a whole lot on this one, but it was nice to see it finally head out. Up next, we had this vintage set of Jack Daniel's playing cards, sell for $5.99 plus shipping. Another story about this particular sale was that the buyer had messaged me before he bought them, and he was asking about the surface coating and whether or not they were new and kind of more plasticky feel, or whether or not they were older and had more of a paper feel. And I thought that was kind of an odd question, but I didn't want to be rude, and so I answered to the best of my ability, and he wanted me to kind of rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as quality goes, and so I did my best to answer. He thought those were acceptable and bought them outright. And we got to going back and forth within the messaging system, and it turns out that he's a big fan of the mom and pop store, and not a big fan of the modern big box stores, and ended up coming back the next day and buying this. Indiana Jones, the complete DVD movie collection. This was the complete collection before the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls movie came out, but he bought this one for $9.99 plus shipping. Can't help but think that, because I provided at least some level of good customer service and with a quick response to his questions, that made him want to look around the store a little bit more and then find something else. So definitely don't discount answering questions that potential buyers might put in. Even though you might field some really kind of strange questions, I guess the way that I look at it is I do my best to answer them, and if I provide good customer service, then it opens up the door for future sales. The next item up was another Build-A-Bear. This was the 16-inch Build-A-Bear Bear-A-Me Teddy Bear, sold for $8.99 plus shipping. The next item is further proof that Christmas does sell all year. This was the Hallmark Lionel Minneapolis St. Louis Diesel Locomotive Ornament. It sold for $15 plus shipping. Next up, we had this Philosophy Women's Medium Multicolor Asymmetric Shark Bite Hem Long Sleeve Shirt, and it sold for $13.99 plus shipping. Next, we had a stamp set head out. This was the Stampin' Up! Only Ovals 4-piece wood mount rubber stamp set, and it sold for $7 on best offer plus first class shipping. And the last item for today was this pair of Dickies New with Tags multi-use work shorts in dark navy blue. They sold for $14.99 plus shipping. All right, guys, that is it for this video. I have got to go downstairs and get those items that we picked up today cleaned and ready to list. So if you liked what you saw, go ahead and drop a comment below. Give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Do all the YouTube things that you can do, and we'll catch you on the next one.